What's up, guys? How's it going? Manuel Godoy here. I'm a little early, right? Just felt like getting a little early here. But I'm with you guys right now, so what's good? How y'all doing today? You guys should be having a really good time because I know I am. Sound check, sound check. Everybody hear me well? All right, cool. So we are here today for another exciting class. This time we're going more toward the business side of things, all right? For the last four courses, I'm basically teaching you guys how to write. Now, the objective of the class is to move forward to how you're going to be able to afford all this, all right? This is your first book. First books are always devastating, all right? You got to spend a lot of money on your first book because you have no help, you have no reputation, you have no brand yet. Unless you're an influencer already, then you're lucky. You can easily go right into a book and start branding right away. But if not, you kind of got to do things the hard way. And this first class is about the median, what median you're going to pick, right? And before we begin that, I'd like to see if there are any of my students from Patron on right now, right? If they can give me some feedback on some of the homework that I basically critiqued for them, what they thought about my critiques. Just put it in the comment section. Let everybody know your experience, how you felt about me reviewing your work. Um, let's show that one right there. Giselle just gave the link to our patron. Yes, so Takeo Fallen One says, I know you have a lot to do, so I try to give as little as to give as little as possible, but I would like for you to review after your feedback to see if we got the message. So check it out. Basically, some people who are submitting their homework, they submit a lot more than their homework. They submit like the entire story. They submit all these characters, like 50 characters sometimes, a lot of stuff. They have a lot of work that they've done already, right? And while I would like to review all that, I simply can't because I have so many students. However, next month we're gonna have a new tier, and we're not opening it now because people would sign up for it. And the way Patreon works is they charge you up front, and then they charge you on the first. So in other words, if you signed up today for Patreon, you get charged today, and then on the first they charge you again because they don't care when you joined. Every first of the month they charge, and it goes on from then, right? So I'm gonna wait until after the first in order to put this new tier up. But the new tier will be basically personal coaching. So instead of simply me checking your homework, you'll be able to have contact with me and my wife. Actually, call us. You'll be able to have your work really critiqued, like read and stuff like that. And it's a very intense program, and it's for those who basically aren't satisfied with me simply checking the homework and giving my critiques and my suggestions, right? Because remember, I have like 50 students already on Patreon that are submitting to me, and I have to check their stuff weekly. So, that's a lot of time into that, and I can't put too much effort into one person over another, But this way, at least if I'm putting effort into you, right? My time is not being like allocated the wrong way because you obviously paid for it. So this is a 100% personal decision that you guys might want to do or not, but it's entirely up to you, and it all depends on if you want to overuse me or not. Because people send me a lot of stuff, and I'll be like, damn, bruh, that's way more than the homework I gave. Way more than the homework I gave. And I know people are like they want to get it anyway, so I'll be like, all right, I guess I'll give all my time and dedication to people who really are stepping up. So let's begin. All right, medians. Week 2, class 5. Aren't you happy that you got to class 5 in the first place? Like, aren't you happy that we actually got that far? Because like this is crazy. It's like how do you think about courses like this where basically, you know, you're basically working with us, right? And you're getting this course 100% for free live on YouTube. Your friends are, if you brought them into this class, they're also getting this course for free. And it's 36 freaking classes. 36 classes. Did you see the interview last night? I think some of you might have caught that interview last night when we interviewed Sky Legends. And tomorrow we're influencing Mike Tony Design. That's incredible. That's something that I want to bring to you guys more and more. And that's why I always implore you guys to keep reaching out to your friends and family and get them in here as well. Because this is basically worth a $30,000 degree. I'm telling you right now, if you went to school and got an English degree or a creative writing degree, you would learn half the content that we're teaching you in this course. Because they will never teach you anything about selling, branding, marketing, and crowdfunding. They ain't going to teach you jack about that. But that's things we teach you because the only way you're going to be able to survive if you become an author, all right? Unless you get a deal with like one of the biggest publishing houses in the country, you're going to have to learn how to survive by crowdfunding, by selling yourself, by going to shows, by getting offer visits, and you can't do that without the knowledge handed down to you from somebody. Otherwise, you're going to run into a whole bunch of scams. That's what Black Sand Entertainment is here for. We're basically trying to prepare you so you don't get hit with the scams. You know what I'm saying? So let's move on. Let's talk about medians, all right? First things first. I want to make. All right, this is the question every last one of you need to ask yourself. I want to make. What? What do you want to make? So there are 7 different medians to tell your story. Each median varies greatly in price and scope. Additional employees might be required for specific medians, and burnout can happen if we choose to take on too many roles. So one of my golden rules when it comes to being a CEO is you must, and I really mean this, you must not work too damn much, all right? You can't work too long on a production. You can't be the writer, the editor, the artist, the marketer. You can't be all that because if you do that, you're going to drive yourself nuts. Your timetables are going to be horrible, right? You're not going to hit your milestones. You're going to burn out. You're just going to burn out. So each of these specific medians have different levels of employment, right? You need certain amount of people in order to make these things, and we're going to be basically explaining to you how we're going to pull this off, right? So first things first, let's go to the first genre of medians, which is novels. All right, so we're going to novels. All right, there's basically 2 type of novels I want to talk to you about. That would be standard novels and then light novels. All right, so standard novels are strictly prose. They require an editor. They're extremely cost effective and they're great for longer stories. So first things first, I want to explain something to you guys. There are estimates for how much each median costs to create. When we look at novels, novels is probably the cheapest one, right? And you're looking at close to $1,000 to $2,000 to print. To create your entire book, get it edited, have a professional cover, and then bring it to market through Amazon, KDP, or other print-on-demand services. That's how much it costs, about $1,000 to $2,000. That's how much it'll cost if you want to do it professionally. All right. So it's the easiest and lowest cost to you. You also don't need that many people to work with you. You need an editor. You might need a co-writer if you work too much. Normally, then you need a co-writer to help you flesh out your story, right? Or a ghostwriter. I'll talk about ghostwriters a little later. And that's a good medium for people trying to get in, right? You got to prove that you're a decent writer before you start working hardcore into even bigger things, right? So that is a standard novel. Now, a light novel is something very similar to a standard novel, right? The only difference is sometimes you'll see full page images, right? Or sometimes you'll see special artwork in there specifically to highlight key moments in the story. Light novels tend to be very popular in Japan, or are starting to become very popular in juvenile fiction and young adult fiction and other things like that. We start seeing a lot more images in our stories. They don't just go straight up into words. It's slightly more expensive because you will need an artist for this, but it's still black and white. Most people never do this in color. They just do black and white images. And it's more emphasis on the main characters. Usually, this tends to be like a series. So if you do light novels, most people who do light novels tend to do series, right? So they have like multiple chapters, short chapters, back to back to back. That's really good for light novels. All right, so that's our light novels. Now, anybody here, by a show of likes, all right, hit the like button if you are planning on writing a novel. That's what you want to write. Some kind of novel, a straight up book form. Not comics, not children's books, novels. Hit the like button if that's you and tell me why in the comments. Why are you making a novel? Why do you feel like your story deserves to be a novel? Yeah, well, I'm messing with you guys right here. Novel is way more affordable, okay? This is the easiest way to get into the game is by writing a novel. See, Diane Carroll asked a very good question. So, is there no way to get around the cost? Let me tell you, there is no way to get around the cost if you want a professional product. All right? If you want to simply have something like a web series that you made yourself and put like a whole bunch of things on there with some grammatical errors, with some grammatical issues, and not that, and don't worry about a cover because it's a web series, then you can do it for free. You don't have to pay anything, right? But the second you want to make a book that you could print and sell, it needs to be professional, and these things cost money. Nobody's going to edit your book for free. Nobody's going to give you an amazing cover for free. These things, you got to pay for those. And I know the rates, and later on in the class on Friday, I'm going to be breaking down the cost of every single job that you might have to recruit for in the publishing game. Do you understand me? So every single job that you could possibly run into for your production is going to be broken down by the numbers in the next class on Friday. You're going to be like, ooh, I didn't know that. But now you can see, you can start planning ahead. You can start making a nice business plan because you're like, oh, okay, I know exactly what I need to do now. You know what I'm saying? Okay, Bella Manning says, I'm planning on a novel series because I want to be able to go back and forth between events and characters' lives as well as being able to create a spin off for teens. All right, sounds like a great reason to do something. Oh, well, R Squared Games. Marketing cost is 100% based on you. All right? That's real talk right there. Marketing costs can be free, it can be or it can be paid. It really depends on how you plan on doing it, how it's your general approach. Because you can actually write articles, you can actually write press releases and send them out, and if you get those covered by news outlets, guess what? You just got free press. You got natural organic growth to your brand. It happens all the time if you have a really good catchy slogan, so marketing is 100%. That is your variable cost. Marketing is always variable. It changes from month to month. It's never set in stone, and it depends on what's going on, the ebb and flow of your business. Let's move on to the next category, which is comics and manga, aka graphic novels. All right. So, this right here, comics and mangas, this is basically the one that's going to cost every single bit of your soul, okay? So a lot of you guys love saying, "Man, I'm about to make comic book series. You know, I'm gonna have like three, four different like story arcs, and you know, it's gonna be this crazy thing." And I'm like, bro, you know how expensive comic books are, man? It's like, so let's go break them down, right? There's two types. There's two types, all right? There's two types. So let's go ahead. Let's bring it down, right? There's two types. So let's go. Web series. A web series relies on donations and subscriptions, okay? If you're planning on doing a web series, you need to be thinking about how you're going to get donations and subscriptions in order to continue your services. Intensity tends to be extreme. So anytime you're doing a web series, you got to get people to log on every single Friday when you release the next um, a couple of pages. In order to do that, you basically got to have non-stop intensity throughout the entire production. You can't have a whack week. You can't have a week explaining the world. You can't do any of that crap. It needs to be balls to the wall all day long. All right? It is the second most expensive medium. The only reason why it's the second most expensive and not the most expensive is because you're not printing books. All right? When you print books, it goes through the roof. All right? So, but we're not doing that right now, so it's the second most expensive. It requires multiple employees. You're going to need a writer, you're going to need an artist, you might need a letterer, you might need all these other things that you got to add on to your stuff. You might need somebody that handles your blogging so that it's constantly being sent out. There's a lot of freaking parts to web to being a successful web series, and I hope you guys keep that in mind when you're deciding to make a comic or a manga in a web series format. Print for the print versions, you have to rely on direct sales. Okay, this is me literally having my comic book in my hand and selling it to you. That's how you make your sales with freaking uh, comic books. All right, you have to go to the shows. You have to go to the events. You have to go and set up things. You have to go on social media and have credible marketing plans and stuff in order to sell your books. All right? It relies on series. So you need to make sure that you can have a series. You don't have one comic book that's standalone. That's very rare in the industry. Everything's series, all right? It's clearly by far the most expensive medium. You might spend more money on your books than you will printing. You might have to spend more money printing your books than you will actually making your book. Crazy stuff. No, comic book writers are not doomed. All right. Comic book writers are not doomed. That's what Kickstarter is for. Kickstarter has one of the best Kickstarter has one of the best, most reliable audiences for comic books, okay? Lots of comic books get funded on Kickstarter all the freaking time. So if you're looking for comic books, you better learn how to market. Because once you learn how to market, you might never have to pay for a comic book again. You could just crowdfund your way for the rest of your career. But at the beginning, the first book is what hurts. All right, the first book is going to cost you. Now, let me go and look through this. Who's planning on making comic books? Tell me why in the comments, and I will give you some input if you have any questions. I'm taking them right now. Bell Manning, are you talking about novels? If you're talking about novels, that's not including print. That is 100% just the cost of professionally finishing your book, getting a nice cover, and then closing it out. That's that's the cost for that. All right, $1,000 to $2,000 on average. Your editor is going to cost you at least $600 if you have 30 to 40,000 words. If you got more than that, it's going to scale up per word. The cost is always by word, and I'll give you the numbers in our next class. Let's see what we got here. So let's see. Is median the same as medium? Yes. Median and medium are the exact same thing. It's just a different type of I don't know, the way it's said, right? It's just different median, different medium. Same freaking thing. Let's see here. Do you know of any that are on a lower end in price? Nope. Nope. They really aren't. Now, I said professional. You can always just release a book that hasn't been edited yet and doesn't have a great cover. You can do that. There's no one stopping you from doing that. All right? But I always try to set people up to win. So I tell them make a professional book. So that's all I'm saying. But you can release extremely cheaply on a novel. Let's see what we got here. I'm doing comics because I'm leaning towards the anti-hero superhero genre, but my character is black, so visual representation is what I'm aiming for. All right. Well, I guess that makes a difference. Me personally, I don't think it matters at all if they are visually black, right? If your story clearly mentions their black experience. All right. So that's why novels. That's why the black novel industry is actually booming right now, and none of them have images in their books. Especially women. Uh, Women's what's it called? Like romance and urban life and stuff. They dominate right now. No images in the books at all. Just a nice, tantalizing cover and whole bunch of black women and black men and relationships throughout the entire story. That's what it is. It dominates. No images at all. So I always say that could be a thing. Now it says, Great Gale asks, do you recommend Kickstarter over Indiegogo? Personally, it doesn't matter which one you choose, but if you choose one, stick with it. All right. So if you do Indiegogos forever. If you do Kickstarter forever. All right. J. Jackson says, I want to draw, ink, and color my own comic and draw someone else's at a discount for my first one. Do you think technology is making this stuff faster and more doable? Well, first thing I want to say about comic books is remember this: people are extremely vain, all right? They have standards. And I always tell people, people say, hey, I'm going to do my own art. I'm like, if you ain't a badass artist, you know, you might be hurting your product more than you think, you know. And because I'm telling you, if people don't look at your stuff and say, "Yo, this looks hot," they don't even care what the content is. If they can't get past the first page and say this looks hot, they're already gone. They're already gone. Because trust me, this is me dealing with customers face to face all the time. I've seen people go to conventions, right, with art in their books, and I've seen people literally go up to them, look at their stuff, and then walk away within 5 seconds, and they didn't even look at the damn story because they weren't attracted right off the bat. So I always tell people, make sure that if you're going to do it yourself, that you're hitting that point. You're making it extremely high quality production, and it really is kind of it wears you out a bit because it's a lot of work, you know. Like you see Monarchs, right? Yesterday we did the interview with Monarchs. He's taking a very long time to make his comic book because he has to go and pay the bills and do all the other stuff as well, you know. And he won't even do it in color. He has amazing coloring skill, but he won't do it in color because it's just too much work. It's way too much work for him to be able to do that. It'll take too much time and everything else. He doesn't have the resources to cover that, so he just simply skips the color. Now, that's entirely his decision, but these are decisions that you might have to make as a comic book developer. Initially say, hey, I'm gonna do only black and white. I'm not even gonna do color because I want the visual quality to be higher. If I do a color, I'll have to spend at least 50% more than I would if I had to do it black and white. And because of that, I might have to hire someone who's not as good an artist as somebody who does black and white at 50% less money. You understand what I'm saying? So make those choices wisely. Well, Sheba, all my book ideas are just movies. Then make screenplays. Just make a whole bunch of screenplays and send them to an agent. So, what are the pros and cons between Kickstarter and Indiegogo? I will deal with that when I do my crowdfunding class much later in our program. All right, let's move on. Juvenile fiction. Juvenile fiction, all right? This is children's books in early grade school, all right? These are for kids 9 and below. That's the audience that we're talking about with these, all right? So, children's books tend to be extremely heavy on visuals, right? And let me go and adjust this thing that way I don't block some of the imagery. So let's go grab this. Let's go grab my webcam. Bring it up to the top. There we go. So I just want to make sure I'm not blocking the slide so you can read it, right? And basically, it's extremely heavy on the visuals for children's books. Very short stories, extremely short stories. And they must impress adults, the buyers, right? Must not be shunned by kids, the readers. Now, here's a very important balance that I tell people, right? You can wildly entertain kids and have horrible sales. All right? The reason why is because when you're entertaining the kids, you might be entertaining them with inappropriate content to an adult. And the adults are the ones who are buying the books. You know, they're the ones buying it. So they look at it and say, I just don't feel like this is appropriate for my child. And then a book that gets rave reviews from kids who love it might totally bomb in the market because the parents don't agree with the messaging. You know, so we also have to be careful about that when we're making children's books. I will say this too. If you're making books for kids that are 4 and below, preschool and below, if you're making books for those demographics, you got to understand that your print costs are going to be sky freaking high. All right, he said, this is the most expensive printing you will ever do out of all the genres, all the media. It doesn't matter. All right, this stuff is expensive. Why? Because it has to be hardcover. It has to be hardcover. The kids will literally rip a book in two in 5 seconds, and the parents know this, which is why they never buy children's books that are paperback. Also, you might have to buy a board book if it's even younger than that. If they're 2 years old or younger, it has to be a board book. So these things are super freaking expensive to print. And the only way you're going to get the cost down is if you're selling at least 1,000, 2,000 books a year, so you can order 1,000 to 2,000 books. Because if you order them individually by US, you're looking at $9 a book printed. $9. That's crazy. That destroys your margins. All right. So children's books, while it is the easiest to create, it is the hardest to be successful with only because the print cost is so catastrophically high. You know, it's just it is scary, man. And nobody buys digital kids books. Nobody buys digital kids books. It has to be physical. Then we have early grade school. Early grade school is great for everyone, all right? Check it out. It must have some educational value, all right? Make sure you can add some educational value to it any way you want. Even if it's just, oh, it's advanced reading for someone in second grade. You push that angle. You don't just say, oh, it's a cool book for kids. No, you say it's advanced reading for people in second grade. That's how you say that sentence because that's how you're going to get it to sell. All right? It cannot be too simple regardless of content. More action oriented. All right? This is the age where kids start really like expecting more action and drama or whatever the heck in their stories. So you got to give it to them. And most importantly, kids' heroes work great here. In other words, kids want to see themselves in the books. That's what they want. So you got to go and make sure that you have a young kid who's the hero of the story. All right? I don't care what the topic is. The young kids need to be the heroes of the story because they want to be like basically there in the story as well. All right? Early grade school is amazing, especially if you're doing anything like that because the print costs can also be down. You don't need hardcovers anymore once they're past first grade. You know, those kids ain't going to rip the book in half unless they hate it. So you're actually in a very safe spot if you decide to do that. Now, let's talk about that. Who wants to be a children's book author in here? Come on, say something in the comments if you're one of those children's books slash juvenile fiction writers, and you're like, man, I'm gonna do that right there. Up, there we go. Olana says me, most definitely me. I like that attitude right there. Yeah, Giselle is a master of it. She's done 4 children's books already. Giselle has done 4 children's books. Isn't that crazy? To have that many children's books? Wait 1 second. So all you people talking about children's books, would you like to talk to Giselle about this? Would you like to actually talk to her about children's books? Cause I can bring her up and she can take over for a second to talk to you about it. You want her on here? All right, give me a second. I'm gonna go get her. Wait there, Valencia. Wait there. All right, she's coming. Just wait 1 second, and she'll be here to go and talk to you guys about uh, children's book directly from the source. I'm always in the ATL area. I've always got a lot of shows out there, and it's just cool. Here she is. Stop being scared. They're talking about children's books. You in person.
I can't believe you threw me out.
Here's the comments over here.
Oh, so your camera's right here.
It's gonna catch up in a second, but thanks for being on. They can see you right now, so go ahead and talk.
Can you guys hear me? Oh, okay. I'm on there now. So yes, I have written 4 children's books, the Maury's Family Adventure series that you guys um, probably have seen, which is right here. The first book that I wrote was the Maury's Family Adventure South Africa book. And this book right here is the Maury's Family Adventure Rio de Janeiro book. Me and my family, we actually got a chance to visit Rio de Janeiro last year in the spring, which was amazing. So during that vacation, um, on our trip to Brazil, I can show you guys some of our pages. So at the end of this book, I decided to put actual selfies in the book of me and my family. And this right here really allowed me to write my story based on our trip there in Rio. And so the front of the book, I just went into, let me show you, started from the beginning on how I wanted to write the book. So, like Manuel said before, kids' books are very, very expensive. This book right here cost about, I want to say, $6 per print per book, and I ordered about 1,000 copies. Very expensive. So, like he said, um, if you are thinking about doing a kids book, I suggest that you do a Kickstarter first or a GoFundMe. See if you can raise at least $2,000. That way, you will have money to pay your artists and to kind of cover the print costs. But I love writing kids book stories, especially a story based on me and my actual family, And I love just showing positive images of children of color, parents of colors, to be represented positive in books. So this is my book, The Maury's Family Adventure. I also have a coloring book that I created. That's black and white. Could you pass me the coloring book? So Manuel, he's gonna go and grab me a coloring book really quick. So that coloring book, that consists of about 21 different pages. I wrote about 21 different locations around the world teaching the kids about geography. So since that one right there was printed in black and white through Create Space, the quality, let me see. Yeah. So this book right here, this is the one I was talking about printed in black and white. Let me show you the inside of the book. So the cost was a little bit cheaper. It was like what, $2 and $2.80 per copy. So much cheaper, very cost effective than this book right here.
Yeah, that one was expensive.
Yeah, this one right here is very expensive, and this one didn't hardly cost anything to print. So, and I also have a light novel too that I wrote. It's called The Brazilian Culture Exchange. And this one right here was for my older readers, fourth grade academic book, talking about the history and culture of Brazil. So it's a light novel for you guys who don't know what a light novel is. So I have a few black and white illustration pages in here, as you can see here. And I think I have a total of about 8 black and white illustrated pages in here, and the rest is just novel. So very cheap to print. I think this right here was also like $2.40 for this book right here through Create Space. So yeah, so for you guys that want to be a kids book writer, you should do it, especially if you have a heart for it. You know, don't give up on your dreams. And
Take some questions.
yeah, I'm gonna take some questions. Let's see. Let's see. I want to do coloring books also. Teresa Gully. Yes, you should do coloring books. Very cost doesn't cost that much. Very cheap to produce. And also you can make your coloring book very educational so you can get into the school system. That'll be a big play for you. So this book right here, the geography book, I'm trying to push this into different schools around the world, the country. So this coloring book right here has 21 different pages. So let me see what other questions do I have. Um, let me see. Um, Somebody say, how did you get the artist to create what you had in mind, like the process? Well, the artist that does the Black Sands Seven Kingdoms comics, he also does my work also, Hydras, David Lederman. So he's very good at taking your creative idea and actually bringing them to life. So he's very creative at doing that. And I hope to be working with the what's his name? Sky Legend, yes, the young man who Manuel had an interview with on yesterday. I hope to be working with him soon on another project that I want to do. His work is amazing, also. So if you guys are looking for like an artist, I would suggest that you should reach out to Sky Legend. He's really, really talented. Let's see. Somebody said I self-publish coloring books through Create Space. Okay. All right, guys. So it was great talking to you guys. I hope this short discussion that I just talked about helped you guys out a lot about Kids Book and continue to enjoy the rest of the session. Thank you.
All right, family. So yeah, you got a taste of Giselle. She's going to be doing our Friday class as well. So that's the one that's going to be all on her. All right. So you can have her there for that class. We're going to be talking about numbers. All right. So let's go to our final slide for this class, which is target audiences. All right. So target audiences. These are the people that you're basically going to be selling to for the rest of your life if you actually complete your book in these 90 days and get it to print. All right, these are your audiences. All right, for novels, you're going to be looking at libraries, book fairs, conventions if it's in your niche, and local sales. All right, this is where most people that do novels they have these avenues. You can also try to get a publishing deal if you are capable of landing an agent. All right, agents are all about numbers, so you have to make sure that you're hitting the right you're writing about the right content because it's all about trends with agents. They want to represent books that they know will sell due to past trends. So that's something you might be considering if you're planning on ever approaching an agent. Light novels is about conventions, social media, direct sales, and crowdfunding. All right. So crowdfunding is very great for anything that involves a lot of imagery. All right. The second you start doing a lot of images, you can do very good branding. And the branding helps with crowdfunding significantly. All right, light novels is great for that. Conventions are also great for that because you have plenty of images, so you can start doing banners. You can make yourself stand out in a crowd. Right, very cool for that. Comics, mangas. Comic books and mangas are have the biggest audience, all right? So you're looking at conventions, social media, direct sales, web comic platforms like Webtoons or Tapas, crowdfunding, and Patreon. All right, so there's huge comic and manga like communities out there. They're just organic communities that just support the hell out of comics and mangas. And you can weaponize that through web comics. You can weaponize that through crowdfunding. You can weaponize that through Patreon. You know, all these things that are out there for comics and mangas right now. It's the hottest genre out there right now. So while it is the most expensive, it also has the most opportunity to scale. All right. Early grade school, aka juvenile fiction. You're looking at schools. Schools are your number one customer. All right. It doesn't matter what the story is. All right. You could be talking about wizards. You could be talking about people who turn to beastmen on the planet Exobar. It doesn't matter. So long as it's if you can somehow make it seem like it's educational in some kind of way, like, hey, this is advanced reading for third grade school, they will buy your books. They will. They will buy your books. All right. So schools are the most important customers, and libraries for early grade school juvenile fiction. Conferences. Notice how I say conferences instead of conventions. There are no good conventions for children's books. All right. However, there are conferences that are really good for children's literature. For instance, maybe a librarian conference, or maybe a parents teacher association conference, or maybe a federal employees conference. these kind of conferences have a whole bunch of parents who show up to it. And these parents got plenty of money and they're going to be buying your books like crazy, all right? So conferences is the way of the deal. You also got social media and crowdfunding. You can crowdfund these things pretty well. Children's books. Children's books has a very small audience, right? You're looking at libraries, conferences, and crowdfunding, all right? Crowdfunding is actually very strong with children's books because basically nobody wants children's books as far as publishers is concerned. Publishers don't like signing new children's books that often. So the only way they're made is if people go and team up together and fund them, which is why crowdfunding is very good for children's books. Libraries love children's books. There's giant sections of children's books in libraries, so they're amazing customers when it comes to selling your children's books. And once again, conferences, because all those parents all gathered up. It doesn't matter what the conference is about. It could be a freaking medical supply conference. It could be a conference about doctors. I guarantee you, if you get a booth at that place for a reasonable price, you will make so much money at that conference with your freaking children's books. All right? All right? And finally, we move on to the homework. The homework is very simple this week. I mean, for this particular class. All right? All you got to do is answer a couple of questions. So basically, the questions are going to be this, and you could download it right there in the caption. The questions are: what medium will you be choosing for your story, and why are you choosing it? That's question number one. All right, which medium and why are you choosing it? Uh, Second question: can you handle all the requirements of that median? Can you handle the fact that you have to hire X, Y, and Z? Can you handle the fact that that you might have to print it hardcover or soft cover or whatever the heck format is known for that genre? These are questions you need to be able to answer yourself. And finally, are you comfortable with the target audience? In other words, are you comfortable talking to schools or libraries? Are you comfortable going to conferences that might have nothing to do with children's books? But you're like, you know what? The price is reasonable. I know there's going to be at least 500 parents in the room with money, so I'm going to show up with my children's books and I want to see if I can freaking hustle these cats because they're going to buy the hell out of them books. What the best conferences I've done, right? Well, like black educators. No, it wasn't black educators. It was a blacks in government. It was a government a thing. It was basically federal employees from Washington D.C. and other places in the country come together to train to get better and get basically like promotions in the federal government as black employees, right? Everybody in there was like 40 and up. Everybody was 40 and up. All parents and grandparents, right? Dominated that entire 4 days. We were just obliterating it over there. The conversion rate was like 80% and up. All right, 80% and up. People who stopped by the booth, 80% of them closed out and bought some books. Some bought entire collections. I'm telling you, man, has nothing to do with children's books, but it freaking dominated. So you guys need to definitely think about that when you're doing the younger age stuff. Conferences, professional conferences are dominating for these children's genres. All right. So, lastly, any questions? Do we have any more questions to go before we're done? Yeah, exactly. Alana's like 80%. What the heck? Exactly. I've been to a lot of black functions. I've been to a lot of black events. The federal government one was nuts because they all had money and they were buying stuff for their kids. They were buying this stuff for other people's kids. They were like, you know what? You know what? My girl isn't here, but man, if she was here, she would have got it. I'm gonna go and get two books. Let me get two of those books right there so I get one for her son too. I was like, this is crazy. Yes. So basically, Basically, the homework assignments are always to help you can stay on the path, right? I want you to stay on the path. You ain't gonna have all the keys to make a business plan yet, right? But you do understand that it has a responsibilities for each median. So if you're, so long as you understand the responsibilities and you understand that it's gonna have like a more expensive cost to do a comic book than a novel, and you're fine with that, you're accepted that yourself, you should explain yourself in that homework, right? Because later on we're going to be putting all these homeworks together and making a business plan, an actual business plan. And the business plan is basically going to set you up for your marketing. How you going to market? How you going to sell? Where are you going to sell it? Who's your target audience? How you going to get there? What's your cost per book? What's the way you can do projections for your balance sheet for next year? Should you be successful in launching your book this year? All these things have to be done in your business plan, but we're doing piece by piece so we can have all that information available to us when we finally go to the business plan in about 1 to 2 weeks. What if we say no, and why on the homeworks? And why on the homeworks? Because we are not comfortable with some things. I have no clue what that means. Can you rewrite that, Guts? Because that sentence doesn't. I don't understand it. Nah, Gentile, you sent me like 7 emails, so just send your emails on the ones I responded to, cause I responded to your email. So that one that I responded to, just keep sending it back on that one. All right, don't make a new one. Just send the emails back on that specific thread that I responded to. All right. And remember, I accept homework on the weekends for all of the assignments of the previous week. So don't do the homework and then send it to me right away because I won't check it. All right? I check on the weekends at a specific time just so I don't end up like working nonstop all week. I try to knock it out in like one day for like a couple of hours. You know what I'm saying? I don't know the movement. Did you send it through Patreon? Because if you didn't send it through Patreon direct messages, then I didn't receive it. All right. There's only like 2 people right now who haven't got a response from me yet. And I'm finishing up with them right now. By the way, anybody who wants to sign up, go right ahead at patreon.com/Black Sands. I just put the address in for you. All right, guys, so that's it. Manuel Godoy. It was a great class. We almost hit an hour on this one. This was a longer one than expected, but we're on children's books right now, and I wanted to make sure that Giselle Godoy, the master of children's books, was up there and telling you about what she's done and her experiences, because I feel like she has a lot to offer when it comes to these fields. Okay? So, definitely hit me up on Patreon if you haven't with your homework from last week. I extended the deadline for the first week because people had just been joining. Some people just joined this weekend, so they don't know anything about anything yet, and they didn't have a chance to go and do all their homework, or they didn't have a chance to go and submitted. So I did extend the first week's deadline. All right, so I'll still be reviewing that up to next Monday. However, next Monday, from that point on forward, it's only the week prior that I'll be checking, and it's only the homework content. It will not be any content more than what the homework had asked for. Oh, okay. So that's a good question. Guts Maston says the parts of it says we can handle responsibilities and if we are comfortable with our decision. What if, when doing the homework, we say no because we don't think we can? This is a great question from Guts Masterson. So basically, the answer to that is if you say no, you got to tell me which medium first you're uncomfortable with, but that's what you want to do. All right. If you say no, I don't think I can handle it. Make sure to tell me why. So you say, hey, I don't think I can handle it because I don't have the funds, or I don't think I can handle it because I don't think my art is up to par, or I don't think that my writing's a play. Make sure to tell me why you think you can't handle it, and I'm gonna give you the exact workaround. All right, I know all the workarounds. I know how to freaking. I can make any book hot. Period. So I know all the workarounds. If you tell me exactly why you think you can't, I'm gonna tell you how you can with that current uh uh lack. You know, if you're lacking specific thing, I can tell you how you get around that. Right now, it might be harder to pull that backdoor way of getting it done. But the bottom line is, it is the other path. All right, I know the paths, and I can give you an alternative path from the simplest. Right, the ones that I'm talking about here is the simplest path. This is the straightest path to publishing your book in 90 days. All right, if you can't handle that path because you don't have the finances, or you don't have the resources, or you don't have the expertise with talking to people, there are other paths. And so long as you put it on the paperwork when you send it to me, I'll give you exactly what those other paths are. All right, I know them like the back of my hand. All right, guys. See you later. Manuel Godoy, I am out. I hope you guys had an amazing class. I know I did. I had a great time with you guys. Make sure to sign up for that Patreon if you want to submit homework. And we have an amazing new tier coming up next month. It's quite expensive. I'm telling you now. It's a very expensive tier, but it's for those people who constantly want to ask us questions, want to randomly call us up, want to go and get their work critiqued and read, all their books read and stuff like that. This is a very involved tier. So it's expensive, but it's because you're going to get like extreme access with us, all right? And I know a lot of you guys want it because some of the homework that you guys submit, you submit like 5, 10, 20 more pages of content on top of that homework assignment, and it's crazy. I'll be looking at that like, no way I could look at this. So that's for you guys, all right? So I'll see you later. Uh, Peace. Yeah, it's a completely different tier. It's a exclusive tier I'm adding next month for people who basically want me to be like their personal coach. Okay? Oh, how important is grammar and usage? I don't know. Basically, I always hire an editor, so I don't care because the editor is gonna handle it. See you later.